memories keep me together. Gotta fight till the end, no pressure, no pressure. And I find it hard to say no to the ones who want something better, the ones who never say never. Will you be my pleasure?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to what is now the 8th round here at FRL for the 100% series on a Saturday at a very, very flowy track. And personally, one of my favourite tracks on the F1 calendar is Saudi Arabia, as we do see. It's actually quite a full grid here tonight. I think there was one available space left. There is 20 drivers here for tonight's race, which is probably one of the more full grids we've had since the start of the season here. In terms of potential safety cars here, I reckon there might be quite a few safety cars. It's a difficult track in terms of it's a street track, so it's quite narrow. In terms of corners, though, it's quite easy. There is a few corners, though, that you do have to take quite close to the wall, which can lead in catastrophe at times. But as we do go on now for one-shot qualifying for the first time, but we do see it's a wet race. It was supposed to be a sunny race here, but now being another wet race does mean this is going to be quite interesting. I'm not sure if that is going to be something that is changed, because we've had this before. So I'm not going to say we are on a wet track just yet, but I am going to keep the Discord open just in case. But it is going to be interesting though, because it does seem it is going to be the intention here as we do go on board for one-shot qualifying now, as we do actually see already, we do see a new driver on the grid here, Brixie, taking over the Ferrari seat of, I think it's not our 1980s Wildcat, it's a new teammate of him, who, as we do see, there has to be a replacement here for tonight, as we do see losing a lot of time for him. They're going into the first corner as Nick F1 already being disqualified for going the wrong way on track, which is the first person to not be able to set a time just yet. We do see everyone's being on the inter tyres here, as we do still be on board with Brixie going into the end of sector 1 now. It does seem he's struggling on those curbs as well, and that's going to be an invalid lap time for him, and that's going to be him out of the session. They're going back on board with Pole here, as we do see Gandis F1. He's been in this position as before, as we did see last race. We did see him in one-shot qualifying. He was able to make it onto pole until the final few corners of sector 3, where he unfortunately messed up and had to start from the back of the grid, which wasn't the greatest for him, as we do see him approaching the end of sector 2 now. He does get very, very close to the wall. In fact, I think he did actually hit the wall a tiny bit there, going on the exit there of turn 8, I believe it is, as we do see the graphics do seem quite nice here tonight. As I love this circuit, to be honest. It might be one of my favorites. We do see now Gandis, it has got quite a clear advantage at the moment, as you can see on the live timing boards, as we do see again Brian being disqualified from the session, wrong way, so that's a third retirement from the session here. So that is going to be quite a few people starting from the back of the grid. Sometimes that can be classed as a blessing here, but if it is going to be a wet race like it seems to be here tonight, it is going to be a difficult track condition to keep up with, as we do see Gandis doing a 136.4 for the best lap time, as a Don Foverton also getting disqualified, so nearly a fifth of the grid already being disqualified from the session. That you see there is a wide variety of pace here in this lobby, as we did just see. So do you go on board now as Gandis, who is the current leader from one-shot qualifying, as we do see now going onto the timing board. Gandis with a 136.4 followed that, but quite a big gap actually to P2, which is a 136.8, but it isn't as big as we do see to P3 Cryoplex with a 138.1, and then the lowest time we've seen here today does seem to be about an 8-second by Swinney, which is a 144.5. So there is quite a big gap. This is probably because not many people have actually practiced in the wet conditions compared to the dry, because I think this was supposed to be a dry track compared to what I was thinking earlier. But now seeing it's wet, if this is going to stay the same for the race, that is something we'll have to find out in the next coming minute or so. Do you see now going on to the race? It does seem to be dry for what we're saying. So a wet qualifying does make it interesting here. This is where we do see the people who are stronger in the dry conditions starting to make a comeback with the race. If we do see race, if this race does see any sort of wet comeback because of some clouds that could be peeking in throughout, that is something we have to see later on into the race, because we've seen this in quite a few occasions now. Especially round 2 was a standout for me as well. I believe it was Spain, or I think it was Spain, where it was completely sunny, and then all of a sudden about 5 laps later it was just absolutely tipping it down. Just wait for people to get on. As we do go on the race director tab to see who's taking which tires. Everyone seems to be on the medium and soft tires, one person being on those hard tires, which is something that you don't see too much of, but there is going to be a running theme of this race. If there is going to be a safety car, which I have quite high hopes there might be one, it is going to cause some of those pit strategies to be completely wiped out. We have had a race before where we've had no safety car, I believe, but we've had a race before where we've had the maximum limit of safety cars. So is that going to be the same case as Zandvoort as we saw 2 rounds ago, or is it going to be different as we are now approaching the final quarter of this season, or starting back at the end of February as we are going into mid-April now? We do see this is the final month of the FRL 100% series before going on to the final month, which is May, but it's only, I think, the early stages of May. So this is the actual final month of the series, and I think there's only 3 rounds left after this one. I believe, or is it 4? I think it might be 4, because I think next round might be Canada, as we can actually see what the next one is as we go on board. So you see, no, the next one is going to be round 9, 20th of April at Silverstone, followed then by Hungary in Budapest on the 27th of April, which is known as the Hungaroring, and then the 4th of May in the Red Bull Ring, followed then by the final round at Barcelona on the 11th of May. As we do now get ready to go green, as we do see 5 lights now being appeared, as we do see now waiting for other drivers to go, as we do see now there is green lights here for round 8 at Saudi Arabia for the FRL 100% series, as we go on board with the leader currently, as we do see Bids being able to take the lead completely instantly with those soft tyres. As we go further back, we do see there's going to be a few position changes already, as we don't see there is any sort of movement in terms of positions just yet. Well, no major position changes, but we do see Bids being able to already take quite a big gap going into the first few corners. Same with Gandis, who was original pole sitter, so there was definitely a lack in reaction there by Gandis. As we do see there is a caution going into sector 1, so I assume that is going to be something that might be recovered. Yes, it does seem to just be a spin of some sort, but we do see it's going to be a free stop strategy if all goes to plan, as we go on board them with the car who's currently battling for position, was battling for position, but it seems to have cleared up from then. Going further down into the grid now, we go on board with 1980s Wildcat and Brooksy, both currently in P12 and 13. Got to have to try strategize a bit here as we go further down, as we do see a side-by-side moment here, as it does seem now Leah MCL 16, a car we haven't seen this season just yet, currently in P14, trying to get P15 now, trying to get past Darren Miles, the fellow Welshie in the Williams. Going further back then as well, do you see now Nick F1 going for the inside line, going into the final few corners. So he is going to be able to have the inside line on this very sharp angled corner before the start finish straight, as we do see in the next lap or so we will see DRS being deployed, which will cause quite the advantage in some of these drivers. But Nick F1 just being able to nearly just get by there, as we do now see going back on board with the leader Bids 05 currently in P1, still a 6-10 gap for his name, so he is definitely improving quite a bit going through sector 1, but it does seem the advantage point for Gandis does seem to be a part of sector 2, and that's something we need to be very careful about going into turn 5, I believe that is how steep that corner actually is in terms of the angle, and how the runoff treats you to almost get you a track cut. And track cuts here is a 3-second time penalty. We haven't seen any just yet, but I'm not going to jinx anything just yet, but there is a bit of a battle going on once again, as we do see Joshua is getting very, very loose going into sector, in the end of sector 2, sector 3. We're trying to get past Cryoplax. Yeah, we're currently the top running Alpine driver, currently in P3, going into lap 2. He's being able to catch up a tiny bit, but it doesn't seem the slipstream is going to be strong enough just yet. He will be using probably a tiny bit of his ERS, but he needs to be quite strategic about how he uses this during the race, as it does seem he gains a bit of time going to the end of the back straight now as he comes towards the start finish line. This is when we do see ERS and DRS will come into play, as we do see Mean Man Moody being disconnected from the lobby, so the first retirement of the session. DRS now enabled by race control. This is going to be quite an advantage point here for Josh Rose to try and get past Cryplex onto the DRS zones, and he is also probably going to be using a bit of that ERS, but it doesn't seem he is actually using too much of it. It seems to be trying to harvest as much as he can, but we do see on board with Cryplex as well, he is using quite a significant chunk of his ERS at the moment, Already going on to the third lap of the race. This is Waze just trying to pull away to try maintain a bit of a gap. So it does seem he goes very, very wide though. And that is going to be another track cut for Kryplax, the Alpine driver. Now it does seem he's going to be able to get by, as we do see a 3-second time penalty there for Di Miles for multiple track warnings. As we do see there's the first safety car of the race. Lap 3 here, I'm assuming that might have been there for Di Miles. He seems to be out already after hitting the wall, and everyone's going to start queuing up with each other to form the first safety car of the race. Now, a bit of context. I said I wanted safety cars during this race, and safety cars does make a bit more of an interesting race because it obviously brings the pack back together. But on a track like this, drivers just don't want the safety car. Well, in general, safety cars just make it a tiny bit more difficult for the drivers, but Mean Man Moody is going to be quite happy that that has been a safety car, which he is going to be able to catch back into the field. Safety car there, as we do already see the top 3 drivers already being able to catch up, so they weren't too far apart from each other there. Safety car not going to be coming in until probably about lap 6-7ish here. As we do already see there's a few people who have started their first stops. Yes, we do see P18 and P19 both Swinney in the AlphaTauri, and then Mafandro in the Aston Martin. 2 drivers who have already made their first stops. Mafandro going onto those hard tyres there, and then Swinney going on to those medium tyres. As we do see there are already 3 people on those hard tyres right now. So it does seem to be Nick F1 in P12, Don Fotherington in the Red Bull in P15. And then, of course, the driver we're currently spectating is Mafandro, who's just only went into the soft tyres. So the soft tyres, the hard tyres, which is going to affect him quite a few positions as he tries to gain back to the pack in time for the start of the race. Well, not the race restart, but I guess when the grid goes green again. Does seem though he is still quite far back, and he isn't gaining too much time on the field, as it does seem everyone else is being able to catch up with each other now, going back on board with midfield. Everyone does seem to be catching up with each other again, as we do see there is a bit of severe swerving there from what seems to be Rouge Schmiffy in the McLaren, as he does just try to sell himself back. As we do see now the grid is starting to catch up, and we do see Mafandro only has a 4-second gap, as we do see now him in the background. So that does mean pretty much all of the grid have been able to catch up as we go into lap 5 under safety car conditions. In terms of penalties so far, we can see that there's only 2 people with penalties so far, and that does seem to be Brown and P13 in the Haas with a 3-second time penalty for track limits, and then we do see Mean Man Moody with a 5-second penalty, which I assume is speeding in the pit lane. So that is the current penalty. So not too many penalties so far going into the 5th lap of this race now. Mean Man Moody now coming into the pit. Penalties are served in the pit lane during your stop, unless it's a drive-through where you have to do an extra stop. Drive-throughs are only given, I believe, in this game if you speed under safety car conditions and if you speed severely in the pit lane, and I think that's the only 2 ways you can get a drive-through in this game. the rest severe penalties would have been disqualifications for anything that is anything a bit more on the controversial side, to say the least. It's been in this position before. He's been... Oh, has he taken off his wing there? Has he taken off his wing there as he goes very, very wide into the wall there? It does seem his wing is intact. He needs to be very careful of what he just did there. Just almost losing attention and just going straight into the wall and nearly taking off his wing plate on the right side of his wing. So I'm assuming the safety car won't be coming in this lap, and it will be coming in the next lap or so. Safety car in this lap. I take it all back, as we do see now Bids is going to take his multiple safety car procedure start up once again. Can he catch Afghan this F-guard? As we have seen this before, as it does seem Bids takes it very wide and almost understeers there. Oversteers, as it does seem he goes already taking the pack and does caught and not really catches anyone off guard. Gandis having a bit of a gap for himself, but going back into the field though, we do see now Cryplex under a lot of pressure there from Josh Rose behind him as he tries to get past him at any given opportunity. It's not going to work for him just yet as he just stays behind, but we do go further down the grid and we do see there are going to be quite a few cars going with each other, as we do see there it's a bit of pressure from what seems to be the Alfa Romeo, which is all over the rear, and he's going to have a bit of dirty air as well. This is something that you have to take in mind with this track. It's a very aero reliant track, so especially sector 1 especially, and a few corners going into sector 2 and 3 are all very aero reliant corners. There's no really slow corners here. This is probably classed as a slow corner, but it's really not that slow, as we do see there is a bit of a drop off in terms of pace now between them both. As we do go back, as we do see there's going to be a side by side between them both. Don Fotherington also trying to get past at any given opportunity, but we do see Leah is able to get past for now, but can we see if he's been able to? But it does seem now, because of that aggression between two of the drivers of Don Fotherington and Leah, it's actually caused Don Fotherington to lose the 2 positions to Swinney and Mafandro. Now going into P14 5th, and him going down to P16, losing 2 positions from one battle there. As we do see now the biggest loser in terms of position so far seems to be Jackie Gabbana in the McLaren, with losing 12 positions, but we do see now the current biggest winner does seem to be Nick F1, who has been able to gain 8 positions since the start. Can he make it 11? Yeah, can he make it 9 going into this next corner? Is he going to be able to do it? Yes, he is. He's going to have the inside line going into the first part of the chicane. He has to give the racing room. They are going to make a tiny bit of contact with each other. They manage to save it with each other. Still has the inside line going into the next 2 corners, but now Ferrari can fight back going into the 3rd corner of this segment. He's not going to, though, as he just has to stick behind, as we now see Specky Cabbage, or Nick F1, sorry, going up into P9. Dymore's left session now. A battle for the... Hang on, we do go back there. So I'm not sure who that was actually. That was going to be these 2 drivers still battling at it, as we do see there's probably a tiny bit of contact between both of them there. Brooksy going back up into P9 in terms of retaliation there, as he does seem there might have been a tiny bit of contact between them both. Nick F1 though seems to be struggling with a lot of oversteer with his Williams, as now we've just seen how much of a gap Brooksy's been able to make in a few corners of a mistake that Nick F1 might be struggling with tire rage. But on those hard tires, you're not going to be getting any tire rage for at least 40 odd laps, so I'm not sure what's happening, if it's a setup issue or if it is just a confidence issue. But he was able to overtake him, Nick F1, previously, as it does seem now we don't have any sort of DRS just yet until this lap is completed. As we do see now DRS is enabled, this is going to cause these 3 drivers to go for it. So we do see now it does seem the Williams going back on it for Brooksy, and Brooksy's going to lose 2 positions here because of this DRS. But no, it does seem that Brand resists, as they're going to go side by side once again. They're going to battle too hard, and this is going to lose Brooksy the positions. That's actually going to be a tiny bit of contact there between Brand and Brooksy, and is that going to be a damaged wing for Brand? I don't think it is, and he's been able to catch up still with the 2 cars of the Ferraris and the Williams. But now the amount of times that Nick F1 and Brooksy were battling together, it's actually been able to maintain a tiny bit of a gap, as we do see there's an unsettlement of the car on the apex there from Brooksy in the Ferrari, which does cause him to go off track a tiny bit, and that does cause Brand to go up into P10 and Brooksy into P11. But now we will have to see if Nick F1 can hold off Bran for this long, because it does seem going on to lap 8 now. He is got quite a bit of a gap there. It's not going to be enough for... Actually, yes, it is going to be enough for DRS. It's a 1.3 second gap at the moment. So if he can maintain a gap like this, DRS will not be able to help Bran at all, as DRS is only enabled going on to a second within 2 cars. But going further down in the grid, further up actually, I apologise if you do see it now, the Red Bull of Josh Rhodes putting a bit of pressure there on Cryplex and the Alpines. There is a caution going into sector 3. Not sure if it's going to be a safety car. It doesn't seem to be, as the cars are still speeding. As we do see now, they're going to go side by side here. This is going to be what seems to be Josh Rose and Cryplex going side by side going into turn 1. As we do see now, Josh Rose has the big advantage of turn 1 entry. As we do now see, he's been able to get past, but now we do see there's going to be a bit of pressure on Don Forrington. Well, not Don Forrington, Josh Rose, to keep ahead of Cryplex, because now if Cryplex battles too hard, as it does seem to happen, but Josh Rose has been able to get past with, I'm going to say that is going to be pace at the moment, and has been able to create a tiny bit of a gap for himself. So we do now see Rouge Smithy trying to get closer to the back of Cryplex in the current final podium step of bronze. There's a quick and momentary yellow flag going into sector 1, but it does seem to all have been resolved. But that was very, very close there to the wall there for Cryplex. As now we do see from that little mistake that happened, he's probably definitely woken up a tiny bit now, as we do see he has the DRS as well. Very, very rare that you see the DRS going to be able to make any sort of progress for him to get closer to Joshua, as Joshua has been able to make quite a big gap for himself going into it. As we do now see Rouge Smithy getting the DRS and the ERS probably going in for it, but we do actually see that's an unexpected car. That is going to be the Alfa Romeo of Finn being able to get up into P4. That is going to be him now going to battle with Cryplex for positions, and they now go side by side into start finish straight before turn 1. It does seem though there is going to be an advantage point here for Finn going into the first part of it, having the inside line. Is he going to break later? His car nose is still there, so we do see there's going to be a bit of contact between them both. As we do now see Rouge Smithy going back in to P4 to take position, as there's a bit of a mistake there from Finn as he tries to get the inside line, but it did not seem to work there for him, as he does now stay in his original position and lost a bit of time there. P11 though, getting closer. This is Swinney versus Brixie. Brixie, who's not had the greatest start of race, I don't think, for him, as he's lost a few positions in this same sector actually with that. Oh, that was very, very close to the wall there for Brooksy going into turn 4. You also see Jackie Gabbana getting closer to Don Farrington for position. There are still quite a gap between them both, but with the DRS and ERS, this could be an assist Jackie Gabbana to be able to get past, but at the moment he does seem to be losing a bit of time there to Don Farrington in the Red Bull. But we do see Jackie Gabbana is still one of the biggest losers in terms of positions lost. I'm not calling him a loser, it's just a term that it is used. He's currently lost 9 positions, as there is a caution going into sector 1. The cars haven't slowed down yet, so I'm assuming there is no safety car inbound as the Cryplex goes down to position 4. So we get on board with what's happened there. I'm assuming that's under DRS advantage point there for Rouge Smithy, and it does seem now Cryplex and Finn are going to go back it once again. It seems there's going to be a big contact between both of them, and that is going to cause Cryplex to lose a lot of momentum, and that's going to be able to get Cryplex into position 4 for the time being, and Cryplex down into P5 now under pressure from his teammate or Specky Cabbage behind him, who we haven't seen that much during this race so far, as he's trying to climb back in the order. He's currently in his neutral starting position at the moment, not being able to gain or lose any positions. But we do see Bids though. I'm assuming Bids has just pitted for tyres in the last 2 laps, as he goes down now into P17 from the lead of this race, as we will see a few of the top runners in the soft tyres having to do that in the next 10 laps or so. Juicy P16. It just seems 1980s Wildcat just almost let Leah in the house get that position. It's now going to be both of them. They're not even going to be battling that hard unless that is a strategic turn that from 1980s World Cup to try to preserve his tyres and try to just get the DRS going onto the aim and back straight here. At the moment, it doesn't seem he has the DRS. There we go. Now he has the DRS going on to the final few corners there of Sector 2 as we do see 1980s World Cup unfortunately get a 3-second time penalty for track. What limits there as we do see now Jackie Cabana being able to get past Don Fotherington before the final corner. Can Don Fotherington retaliate going into start finish straight with the DRS? At the moment, it's not going to be able to. We do see the DRS marker in the next following moments, as it does seem now he's going to have the DRS. He's going to fly past him before turn 1. He gets the position, retake him back, taking P13 from Jackie Cabana, but there is a bit of a mistake there from Don Fotherington. They're going to be going side by side once again, going into turn 2. He's going to brake later, has the inside line, so it's all of his advantages here going into these corners that we do see. Now there's going to be a spin there from the McLaren of Jackie Cabana, manages to save it as he's in the slow traffic there and loses the position to Leah as well, who just gets a free position. But that was very close. So there's actually going to be again another oversteer moment there from the McLaren of Jackie Cabana. Has he lost his front wing? No, he is not. He is being able to continue this race, but I'm thinking his tyres are going to be quite overheated, which is going to make it quite unmanageable to drive. As you can see, he's quite hesitant on the throttle, if you could hear, which is going to make it a bit difficult for him going into quite a few of these corners, especially this one here, as we do see Sector 2. Caution here. It doesn't seem to be a safety car. Yes, it does. Is it a safety? I can't tell. No, it's not a safety car. Going on to lap 12, as we do see now Finn trying to get the move back done on Rue Smith. This has been happening for quite a few laps now, as we do see both of them having the DRS. We do see Rue Smith again the DRS from Spicky Cabbage, but they're both not going to be able to gain on each other, and the gap maintains the same almost, as we do see Finn getting a bit of a mistake going into turn 1, and that is going to cause now Rue Smithy to get quite a bit of a time there on Finn. What happened there? It just seems Rue Smithy goes very wide. They're going to make contact with each other, and that's going to him going into the wall there. That is not what you want to be seeing there. That is an awful rejoin there from the McLaren. I believe that was a Rue Smithy. That was absolutely awful. I do not think Finn is going to be very happy after this race. That was probably one of the worst rejoins I think I've ever seen in my life. It's no sort of spatial awareness there from Rue Smithy. Causes Finn to go into the wall, losing his front, well, pretty much all of his front wing completely, and that's going to cause a safety car to be deployed, and that's going to cause now Finn to lose quite a few positions, and almost probably you could say his race almost over, having to replace, well, he can use his time to replace his older soft tyres, but he's going to have to lose another 30 seconds to try get his front wing replaced. So that's one thing to see, as you can see how much he is struggling there in the aero relying corners. This is where we're going to see quite a few people, I would assume, coming into the pits, especially some of the top runners on those soft tyres. P1, P2, P4, P5 and P6. Well, not P6, well, what was P5 and now P8. All got to come into the pit. It does seem all, pretty much half the grid already going into the pits, as it's going to be quite a gridlock going into the pit. That's going to lose quite a bit of time on each other, and the people who doesn't have to go into the pits, that's going to cause them quite a time advantage there. Is there going to be any double stacks going to happen going into this? I assume there probably is, as we go on board with the Alfa Romeo, who has to get his wing changed, and he's also going to take this moment to take his tyres, as well as that wing's going to just lose him so much time there. Mafandro saying, I'm going to do a quick rewind on that rejoin. Yeah, that rewind was, yeah, that was going to be something that's going to be let's say a bit controversial in the Discord chat later, as we do see that. Unfortunately, I think there was Brand getting a 5, was it? No, that was, I think it's Mean Man Moody getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane there. So we now see this safety car go until at least lap 17, maybe longer, maybe less, depending on how long it takes for the grid to catch up with each other. So that is what the safety car really is. Good to see you there, Mafandro. Good luck on your race. Currently in P2, not too shabby, mate. Yeah, that was interesting to say the least. It was caught on comms, so hopefully that makes the view count go up a bit later. But yeah, good luck for the rest of your race. I know you usually have this on in the background, and I know you're currently using this time to, I assume, not... Oh, you are actually driving, so it's not your ghost driving at the moment. I assume you're probably on your phone or something. Otherwise, you are a talented person to be able to use your keyboard and drive at the same time. Get closer to the quarter mark of this race now. Well, we've actually completed the quarter mark of this race. We're getting closer to the... I'm trying to think of fractions, but fractions is not my strong point. Well, we're getting closer to the halfway mark of the race. Let's say that 10 laps until halfway. Jackie Cabana getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lanes. 5-second penalties on F1 is quite severe, as we have seen Finn actually leaving the session. Now that is going to be a disconnect. Luckily he can rejoin. Do you see now half the grid being able to catch up with each other? But yeah, going back on with penalties, a 5-second penalty can be quite severe on F1, because obviously the grid is always quite close together, even if the pace is quite different, because of obviously the safety cars that you can get. The visual safety cars all cause the pack to just bunch up again, and we have seen people being affected in terms of grid positions before because of time penalties, and it does some it hurts for people to lose positions under penalties, but that is something that happens. And some of the penalties can be quite strict, some of them can be quite what's the word, what's the opposite of strict? Easy, shall we say? Light-hearted. Well, no, light-hearted's the wrong. Yeah, light-hearted. Yeah, it's fine. Bid's rejoined the session as well. He has a disconnect, which is Mafandra's teammate coming in P14, having quite an unfortunate start of the race. Well, he was actually doing quite well at the start of his race, being able to take P1, and then he was in P1 for quite some time, but he pitted at the wrong time, should we say, and he pitted, I think it was 2 laps before a safety car occurred, and he's lost quite a bit of time there to the rest of the field. But hopefully he can use the safety car to the advantage, to his advantage, and being able to go for it as well. As we do see, this is going to be the end of the safety car, as we do see the race control saying the safety car does coming in this lap, as we do now see Gandis in front of him, starting his first safety car restart of the race, followed closely by Mafandro, as we'll go on board with Mafandro for the start to see if Gandis can actually catch Mafandro and the rest of the pack off guard, or is he going to be a bit more fair? So it does seem he goes very, very early, going into the final corner as he goes just then, as we do see him now taking quite a big chunk out of Mafandro there, and he's going to be able to get a 5, 6, nearly 7/10 gap between him and P2. That's probably one of the best rejoins I've seen ever. It does seem going back, as we do see now McLaren under a bit of pressure there from Mafandro, and Mafandro losing the position, unfortunately, going into T1, as now they are quite separated and isolated with each other. But we do see now Gandis trying to just put his foot down, trying to make a bit of a gap for himself between him and Rouge, currently in P2. Obviously there is going to be no DRS on this lap, but there will be DRS on the next lap, as there is a sector 1 caution, as I'm assuming that is going to be a retirement from the session, as I think that was William Talbot who left the session. I'm not sure. So seeing now the biggest loser at the moment, unfortunately, in terms of positions, currently Jackie Cabana in P18, as his teammate on the other hand in P2, looking to put a little bit of pressure now on Gandis going into the final few corners of sector 2, going into sector 3. he is just going to resist a tiny bit and just take this opportunity to use the DRS when he can. Is he going to just try to stay as close behind him as he can before the start-finish straight, so he has no DRS for at least a sector and a half? I think he might be trying to do that, as we do see now going into the final corner. He will have this DRS very, very early, and he has quite a strong slipstream as well, so he'll be able to fly past even before the start-finish straight. As we do see now, the slipstream and the DRS has started, but it doesn't seem to be working for him, as there is no DRS this lap. I keep forgetting about that, as we do see the DRS will be enabled this lap. There's going to be no room between both of them. Gandis leaving as much racing room as he can between them both. Smithy now getting the outside line into turn 2. There is going to be a very, very tight squeeze there between them both. You have seen this before as well. I think it was it Kevin Magnussen just left no room with another driver, I believe it was, this year. And it caused him to crash, and I think it was Alex Albon as well. The two drivers were involved in that crash, and that's almost what we saw again there. Smithy once again having that slipstream and DRS to try to go this lap. So I'm not sure if he's going to do the same strategy as I was just mentioning earlier, but they are looking to try fight for position here. Very, very close going into the final corner now. We will see them pretty much neck on neck with each other, but we do see Gandis getting quite a good exit into the final corner. But this is where we do see Smithy getting the DRS, as we can see how much the DRS is actually helping him now going into the start finish straight. Is he going to go for the move? He does do a bit of a dummy move. It does fall for Gandis a tiny bit, but Gandis stays in his current position, the pole position. We do see Smithy staying in P2. He has to try again. Once again, Josh Rose behind now, trying to gain a bit of time. We can't see, well, we can barely see Smithy in the sight of Josh Rose for a bit, but we'll keep, oh, that was very close to the wall there for him, but we will keep that in perspective to see how much time they lose under battling between these two, because battling is the way you gain positions, but you can actually lose positions as well. There's many factors from battling. You can lose positions, because if you spend too long battling, you're just going to lose so much time per lap, and it's just going to be able to, it's going to be an advantage point for, let's say, Josh Rose in this example, to catch up with the with them, to be able to get past and try to go for the position themselves. Obviously, the other obvious one is you could both crash, and that is something we see quite a bit in both F1, just any racing sim really, is just racing incidents, or probably fault incidents. There's so many aspects to it that can be a risk, but DRS does make it a lot easier for the drivers to get past safer, and it does make closer racing, in my opinion. I don't know why people want to get rid of DRS. We now see Smithy going for the inside line, going into turn 1, doesn't even need to use the inside line for his advantage point. He's already passed before the start of turn 1, and he goes into P1. Now he wants to try gain a tiny bit of a gap for himself before the first DRS zone, which is the end of sector 3. As we do see him getting very close to the wall going into sector 1. He is able to make quite a big gap for himself going into that, but going further down, we do see now P8, which is Nick F1 trying to make some moves on Bids, but Bids has made quite a redemption arc since we saw him last at the safety car rejoin about 3 laps ago, as he's now been able to go up into P7 since his his pit stop scandal, and he is getting closer to the top of the grid. Can he get to the front row before the end of this race, or is there going to be another scandal that could potentially happen? Anything can happen, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, it's so unpredictable when you're in this style of the races. We do see Bids going very wide there. That is going to probably be a penalty there for him. He's already got a penalty there. For what we are going to see is going to be a track limit warning, so that is going to be a 9-day difference, especially with his pace. It's going to be very close between drivers when he gets further and further up, and he's just going to be very careful with track limits now, as we do see Brand as well getting a 3-second time penalty for track limits as well. But we do see Bids now all over the back of Finn as he goes for the outside line going into turn 12, I believe it is, as it does seem they've got to squeeze each other. But is this the right decision here from Bids to go for it? He does have the DRS. No, he doesn't. Who had the DRS then? We hear the beep there, but we do see that is going to be what seems to be the House of Neck F1 trying to go for the 3 wide scandal, but it doesn't work as Bids goes up into, well, P6 momentarily, as there's almost retaliation there from Finn as there's a caution in sector 1 and 3. 2 cars off there. Is it going to be a safety car? I do not think it is. Brooksy leaving the session, so that is a DNF there from the driver. If that is a voluntary DNF from himself, or if that is a failure, I'm assuming that is going to be a chosen one. Oh, he chose DNF there because there is no sort of safety car out just yet, and it usually would have been out by now. P10, we do see now Crypax feeling very, very close to the rear of Kevin, who we haven't seen that much here in this race at all, actually. Currently sitting in P9 for himself, currently gaining quite a few positions, I believe. No, he's lost 2 positions since the start of this race, which isn't bad, but Nick F1 gaining 10 positions and Brand gaining 12 positions. But we do see Bids currently in P6, P7 now. What's happened at P8? It does seem we lost 2 positions there, gained 2 positions. Is there a bit of a scandal going on here? I'm not sure what was happening there. Just seems the leaderboard messed up a tiny bit, but it's that. No, it seemed to be DRS that got him there, as he does have a bit of risk from behind him. That it's not going to be any sort of major threat just yet as he goes for it. But we do see now there is going to be a position change here. It does seem Leah is being able to get past Swinney for position. Swinney going down into P12. Can he retaliate going into sector 1 and 2 when he's close enough, or are we going to see Leah having a pace? He's actually going to hit the wall a tiny bit there. That is probably going to be a tiny bit of damage to the side pod of his car, and how much time he's lost there just shows you how little mistake you can make and how much time you can lose. So that might be again another track cut warning there for Swinney. Close to the halfway point of this race now. Going further up, we do see Bids trying to get closer to Finn, who have been battling actually for some time, as there was a quite sudden position change earlier on into, well, the 20s, you could say. But he is looking to gain this position back for P6, as it does seem he will have the DRS going on to start finish straight, which will decrease the gap between them both and increase his positions. As it does seem going on to the start finish straight, he is going to try and use as much of the slipstream he can. He gets past very cleanly even before turn 1 now, as we do see they're going to be on the rear of each other there. But we do see now Nick isn't going to be Nick behind him is not going to be able to catch up too much from that, as he was wishing there's a bit more of a battle between them both, as it does seem that Finn is losing quite a bit of time there now to Bids, currently up into P6 and Finn down into P7. Got to get close again going into the final few corners of the lap. It does seem Finn's able to get past before the final corner, as he is up into P6 once again. But can we see, is there going to be any sort of retaliation here from Bids going on to start finish straight? In terms of DRS, he's got to be able to get it, but he takes the outside line going on to start finish line, as he is able to get past quite quickly. for Finn, and this probably will be the pattern of this race. He's going to be able to get past, but Finn's going to get the DRS again, and he's going to be regain that place, and then it's just going to happen once and once again between the both. But going on to the the top podium runners, we do see Rouge Smithy losing the position to Josh Rose in a few laps ago, which has now caused Josh Rose to go up into P2. Gandis under a bit of pressure now. We have seen this before, a Mercedes versus Red Bull. As now Red Bull trying to dominate once again in the F1 season of FRL. Getting closer into Sector 2. He's not going to be able to get close enough just yet. There is still about a 4-10 gap between them going into the final few corners of Sector 2. With the DRS now, you can see is deployed. He is going to be able to gain quite a bit of time, as you can see how noticeable it actually is going into the final few corners there. Going on to the back straight now. He's going to have the DRS once again, but we also do see Rouge Smithy as well getting the DRS as well. So it is both of the drivers being able to have each other with it. But we now see it could be a position change in the next few corners, as we do see now Gandis under a lot of pressure here from Josh Rhodes for position, as we can see him taking the inside line going into the start finish straight, as we do see there's a position change and the lead change here. There's going to be a bit of contact between both of them, as we do see Rouge Smithy out of nowhere breaks later and takes the leads of this race. And now we do see Gandis back in P2 and Josh Rhodes back in his original position. There's going to be a tiny bit of contact between both of them, but they stay in the same places. But we do see Rouge Smithy with that late dive bomb is able to go and put into P1 now, and he is going to stay with it. 1980s Wildcat getting a 3-second time penalty here, but we do see now Rouge, Gandis and Josh all are quite clean here when it comes to penalties at the moment, which is going to mean going further into this race it's going to be easier for them, because it does seem now P4 does have that penalty. Bran having the 3-second time penalty, which is going to decrease his chance of getting onto the podium steps compared to these three. The gaps have opened up quite significantly between them both, but going on to P8, Nick F1 having that slipstream could be quite intimidating here for Finn, currently in P8 in the Alfa Romeo, but at the moment it doesn't seem to be working, as it does seem Finn has that as well. As it does seem these three drivers have been battling at it for quite some time. This loop, as I was mentioning earlier, is starting to happen once again, as we do see Finn now getting very, very close to Bids Bids, and now Bids is able to get, well, he maintains the position for now. But now going on to start finish straight, this is where we see a repeat of history, where we do see Bids, well, defending the inside line when it's not really a point to, as we do see now Finn whizzing past, taking P6 once again in the Alfa Romeo. But we will see if he's able to keep up Bids in the next few sectors or so. When we see the DRS deployment, he will have that same chance that Finn just has. Going down into P10 though, we do see Kevin getting very, very close to cryplex. Cryplex having quite an up and down race so far. He was up into P2, originally going down into P9 with pit stop schedules, I assume, trying to gain back to his positions. But we do see now Kevin trying to either resist or retaliate onto Cryoplex, or just trying to get this position done once and for all for P9. In terms of tyre life between them both, they are completely equal. They're on the same compound of tyre, and they're on the same age tyre as well. As we do see now the DRS is going to significantly decrease the gap between them both, and now we're going to increase the pressure for Cryoplex to keep this position. Now going on to the final part of the straight before the ultimate corner, as he does stay ahead for now, Cryoplex, but Cryoplex going to lose this position going on to the start for this straight. DRS deployed, you can just see how much time he gains going into it, as we do see now Kevin going up into P9. He's able to make quite a bit of a gap for himself. Can he just maintain that gap and try to increase the gap? Otherwise we're going to see the same thing that Bids and Finn are having. We do see Bids is able to get back past Finn in the final few quarters. So we have just hit the halfway mark of this race. I'd probably say around 45 minutes left of this race to go. It might be more, it might be less. I can't really tell you. But going on board with Josh Rose, who's trying to get back on these positions, we have seen quite a rough battle here between these three, as you have to be quite aggressive to actually keep up with each other and try to get these moves done. But we do see Reece Smith, he's been able to maintain a gap between him and Gandis in the Mercedes in P2, but we do see behind him as well Josh Rose starting to fall off a tiny bit to try and, well, maintain his position of P3, as we do see Brand behind him. But we do see there's actually going to be a position change here once again, so we do see Gandis getting the DRS going into it. There is now another retirement, 1980s Wildcats getting the, well, the retirement. I'm not sure if that's going to be, I think that is, well, voluntary retirement. So we do now see, once again, Reece Smith getting the inside line going to turn 1 with the DRS. As we do see this could be a retaliation here from Gandis going into the last part of the chicane. That's going to be able to keep his position for now. It's going to be side by side. There could be 3 wide here as well. As we do see Josh Rhodes trying to get involved with this as well as Bran. So this could be a 4-way position here for the lead of this race going onto lap 27. But it has seemed to settle down for now. But they just need to be very careful what they do here. In terms of ERS, we do see Gandis still has quite a lot of his ERS, still nearly 3/4 of it, compared to Reece Smith at the moment, who only has 38% of his ERS left. And then Josh Rose, who is using a tiny bit going on the exit, as we could see the overtake symbol being present then, as we do see him with 49% left, Brand with 65%, and then we do see Specky Cabbage, who's trying to keep up with these top run drivers with 30%. So there are quite a few in this top running who have quite a low DRS amount. As we do see there's going to be a position change once again between these two, as we do see now Reece Smith trying to get the outside line for this position change once again. But we're going to see a repeat of history where we do see the DRS and the ERS is going to be used present. I'm not sure if using that much ERS is a great idea, but we do see now Reece Smith is able to take the position away from Gandis once again for the lead of this race. But are we going to see any sort of retaliation once again from Gandis going into the last part of this game? No, we're not. In fact, he loses a tiny bit of time there, as we do see now Gandis using a tiny bit of his ERS overtaking to try maintain and keep this, well, keep P1 if he can. But it does seem that Reece Smith has been able to make quite a bit of a gap for himself going into Sector 1 now, which is going to make it a bit interesting between these two. But we do see now Cryplax currently in P10, trying to get back it from Kevin in retaliation, trying to get P9 back from him. At the moment, it doesn't seem he's able to get too close, but with the DRS and DRS, he might be able to, going into the back straight here where the DRS is enabled, which is right after these corners here. As we do see the DRS will be enabled, but he has lost quite a bit of time there going into those few corners, and in fact he isn't going to be able to gain enough time going into the first part of the back straight. Now the DRS will be re-enabled now-ish, where we see now the green symbol is present. So you see now he's able to gain so much time there and get the position regained without hesitation there. Cryplax going back into P9, and then we do see Kevin down into P10, but we do see now Kevin's going to have the advantage to the DRS going on to start-finish straight. So we are just going to see Kevin to get this position back and has the inside line, so there's nothing to worry about here for Kevin to keep this P9 going into turn 1 there, as it does seem he doesn't have that much ERS left there, Kevin, with about 24%, as we do see there's actually going to be retaliation once again from Cryplax there, all of that for nothing. So we do see now Cryplax has been able to regain P9. Will that be for the entirety of this lap, or are we going to see Kevin keep up with Cryplax? As we do see he makes a bit of a mistake there and has to coast a lot of that corner, and in fact he is going to be out of DRS range now, as we do see him using the ERS to try and stay in the DRS range, which he is able to do. He has about a 6/10 gap between him and P9 of Cryplax in the Alpine. Jackie Cabana going down to P15, starting to pit for new tyres, it seems, or has he lost a bit of his wing? I'm not too sure as we go on board with him now. Does seem he does just go for new tyres, it seems. I'm not sure if he's going for soft tyres or if he's going for another sort of tyres, but I'm assuming he might be going for those soft compound tyres coats. Technically, the soft tyres can last to the end of the race, but he didn't actually change his tyres there, as it does seem there's still a two lap age into those medium tyres. So I'm assuming it must have been something to do with his front wing. It must have been tapping the wall ever so slightly, as we do see Reece Smithy going into the pits as well. So we do now see there's going to be another change in the lead, and this is going to be where if this undercut's going to work for Reece, well, that wasn't Reece Smithy who went to the pits. I'm not sure who went into the pits then. But we do see Reece Smithy losing the position to Gandis once again. These two have been battling at it, as we do see Bids are starting to creep up on the orders as well. He was the original pole sitter for quite a while of this race. Currently in P5, trying to gain between all of these. So he is in the standings again, and we can actually see him. Well, we can actually see the P1 and P2 in viewing distance just up the road between them both. 20 laps to go with this race. Do you see the P8 is actually starting to gain quite a bit of time, and Cryplex once again, Kevin and Cryplex, who we have seen battling quite a bit throughout the last probably 5 laps or so, is we do see now Kevin's going to be able to get past him with flying colours. As we do see there's almost contact between both of them there, so there's a bit of a swerve, but we do see Kevin going back into the lead of this battle for P7, but we do see Cryplex will have the DRS now going onto the back straight once again, so we're just going to see another regain of the position from Cryplex and retaliation going into the final corner. But we're also going to see this once again with Kevin getting the DRS into the start finish straight. Can he just get that inside line? Though it does seem though Cryplex is going to glue the inside line, but it does seem it's not going to matter, as we do see the DRS is able to just gain him the racing line practically instantly, as we do see P6, P7 and P8, which is actually Gandis going into the pits as well, which is the original leader of this race, going into the pits for trying to undercut, I assume, Rouge on those 17 laps old medium tyres, which isn't that old for medium tyres. It is when the tyres start to make a bit of a toll in terms of performance, but it's still a durable tyre in that stage. Lap 31 now, we do see P12 of Nick F1 going side by side with Swinney for position, but he has the inside line going into the final corner, which is going to be able to Nick F1 to go up into P11. But we do see now as well, we will see, and that was in the final corner, that was actually the 4th corner. We do see now Swinney going down into P12, but we'll have that DRS. But we see that was a very, very big oversteer moment there from the AlphaTauri driver. Doesn't have too much of his ERS left. Just hoping for a safety car for some of these drivers to try regain and harvest their, well, ERS, as we do see P11 and P12 making a bit of a battle and a bit of entertainment for us here, as we do see now Don Fotherington going down into P11. We do see Nick F1 going into P10 in the points now, which is going to actually cause him to lose his position probably again. Actually, he has created quite a bit of a gap for himself going into the start finish straight, which isn't going to enable Don Fotherington and his DRS assist to gain him the position back, as we now see there is going to be another driver going into the pit. So they have all just gained a position in the final few, well, seconds, you could have said. There is actually a change in the lead once again. Finn going up into the lead for this race again, as we do see Reece Smithy going for the optional route there, as that is going to be another track cut for him, and he's going to be very, very careful of this now before getting the penalties, as he is all over the rear of him now. Having the DRS as well is going to help him going into now the next DRS section, which is in the next 100 meters, as he has the DRS. Is he going to take it, or is he going to coast before the start finish straight? He is going to take it, it seems, and he isn't going to be using any ERS structure now going into the ultimate corner. But we do now see Finn's going to have the DRS as well, but it does seem Rouge has, well, a bit more ERS. But we do see now Finn is actually going to go into the pits to change his medium tyres, but we will see Rouge stay out for the time being. As we do see current penalties, the penalties have started creeping up in popularity, as we do see Gandis getting a 5-second penalty, which is going to be major for him there. In net P1, you could have said, with a 5-second penalty as he goes up into P5 there. Then Bran with a 3-second with track cuts. Spick and Cabbage with 3 seconds for track cuts. Then the Aston Martin driver of Bids, who just have done their, well, I think that's a second pit stop. We can check it right now. His third pit stop with a 3-second penalty for track cuts, until we do see Leah getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And then to round it all off, we do see Mean Man Moody getting a 3-second penalty for track cuts as well. So that is going to be the current penalty situation for now. I say that Bid's now getting a 3-second time penalty for track cuts as well, so that is going to add up. Now he has 6 seconds. He has the longest penalty within all of the drivers so far. We do just see a position change once again, as we do see Gandis goes up into P4 after him pitting previously. Do you see now? We do get Mafandro getting the DRS on Jackie Cabana going into start finish straight. He gets it absolutely instantly. The position practically for free with that DRS system, and he goes up into P14, and now a 4-10 gap between him and Jackie Cabana in the McLaren in P15. Lap 34, we do see now there's only 16 laps left of this race. Again, closer to the single figures. Do you see now P3 Kevin getting involved with all of this? Well, I'm kind of confused how we got there. But we do see now Gandis as well gain the advantage of DRS. But we do see as well Kevin having the DRS. We do see gains 2 positions in one straight there. Gandis going up into P2 after gaining 2 positions in both. Josh Rose in the Red Bull and Bran in the Haas. But is he under any pressure at all? It does seem he is under a bit of pressure, but we do see Bran is putting a lot more pressure on Josh Rose, which is probably what's on the top of his mind there, Josh Rose. But we do see it is starting to increase a tiny bit going into the final few corners of Sector 1 there. Is there actually going to be a bit of retaliation here from Mafandro, well, from Jackie Cabana on Mafandro here? No, it's not going to be able to be enough just yet, but there is another DRS zone going on to the final corner and going on to start finish straight now, as we do see he gets the DRS and gains instantly so much time and gets back into P14 on Mafandro and the Aston Martin. They actually gain a position as it does seem Leah goes into the pit. Yeah, we've got to see now Jackie Cabana is going to struggle quite a bit more compared to Mafandro, because he has only 10% ERS left compared to what, well, currently Mafanjo has 52, so there is the range of about, actually no, it's on 654 for 5%, so there's a 55% range difference between them two, so there is quite a significant difference between them both. As we do see now, there's going to be the DRS here, bids going down into P9, Finn going up into P8, but then we do see some goes into the pit, which makes it P7 there. Currently, the battle of the podium and even the lead, we do see there's actually the first lap traffic here, which seems to be that's the Alfa Romeo with what I assume is Mean Man Moody. Gets the DRS as well, but we do see Specky Cabbage as well putting a tiny bit of pressure down on Nick F1 in the Williams, who is also in front, well, behind the lap traffic of Mean Man Moody in the Alpha. But with the ghosting, it's not going to make much of an issue to get past. It's going to be a change in position once again because of that DRS, as we do see now Brand starting to gap. Again, just because of that DRS, but going down into P5. We do see he's able to make quite a big lunge there on what I assume was Finn there. Goes over to P5 there, Spicky Cabbage, Nick F1 currently in the Williams in P4, Josh Rose in the Red Bull in P3. Taking the silver step at the moment, Gandis in the Mercedes, and then taking the gold is Bran in the Haas. That is our current provisional top 5 positions. You start seeing some of the battles are starting to be lost here due to people having to start doing their pit stops a bit, but we currently see the biggest winner in positions is currently Brand with 16 positions gained since the start of this race, so practically going from the bottom of this field to the top of it. And then we do see the second in terms of most positions gained is Nick F1 with 14 positions gained, and then it has to be, I think it's Don Fotherington with 8 positions gained. As we do see, there's going to be a safety car here, as it seems Bids is retired from the session. That is going to be a crash, I assume, as that is going to be, well, this is going to throw a huge spanner in the works for the drivers here. So we do see now Brandt is going to do his first safety car. Well, no, he's not. He's going into the pits, so this is going to change absolutely everything. But is everyone going into the pits? It does seem there's going to be a bit of crowding into the pits, yeah. But it does seem practically everyone's going into the pits. There is quite a big gap in between drivers here, but we do see Rue Smithy is not going to go into the pits, as he has quite fresh tyres there, so that's going to take him instantly into the lead there, and that is going to cause him to start this race under safety car position in P1, where he originally was battling with. As we do see, he has caught up with the safety car now. This is where some of the drivers need to be careful with that very, very cruel penalty of speeding under pit lane conditions. Well, not under pit lane conditions, under safety car conditions, which is a drive-through penalty. And around this track, I believe a drive-through is about 25 to 30 seconds. So it's quite a hefty penalty. That can put you down maybe just a quarter of a lap or so. So it is quite significant. Is it Vitasi? Vitasi saying hi, FRL. Welcome on into the stream. You've joined us going into the final 12 laps left of this race. Almost a short race distance left, as we do see there is Bids retiring from the session. Was in P1 originally, going down into P8 and then retiring. So not the greatest of races for him, but Rhys Smithy not going into the pits compared to the rest of the field at the moment, as we do see everyone on the soft tyres not planning to go into the pits for any of these drivers, starting to just recharge their ERS systems. Practically everyone on the 100%, a few people being quite far back in terms of ERS deployment, but that is something just to will be changed very soon, as we do see your Andre Luchisano. I'm assuming you might have, I haven't seen you in the race today, so I'm assuming you're a reserve driver, or unless you're Brooksy, or unless you are in this race and I'm just being extremely blind, which I don't think I am. 39th lap of this race, as we are going to see the safety car condition will take us past the single digits of race distance left. You racing our fantastic BTCC Championship and RF2. Oh, I see. I don't do any of the rFactor 2 commentary. I believe, is that Tom who does it? It might be someone else if I'm wrong. I know he is the admin for the RF2 sides. I am one of the commentators for both ACC and F1 here. I do the F1 100% series, and I also do the ACC Pro-Am series on a Thursday night, starting at Barcelona on this Thursday, so coming up very quick in 5 days or so. Do you see now the safety car won't be coming in this lap, so we go on to the 40th lap under safety car conditions. Do you see everyone has started catching up now? How's the the BTCC Championship been going for you then? Okay. Has it been quite a challenging field? I haven't been able to watch any of the BTCC stuff recently. I'd like to get involved with that stuff, but it interferes with my commentary schedule. But that is probably something, when I get a bit of free time, I will be racing in. But the only racing I actually do at FRL at the moment is the 2.4 hour series with the F1 admin Jamie. FRL really top, I agree. Goated league. Do you now see everyone has actually increased all of their ERS systems up until the 100%, a few people being close to the 100%, so it is pretty close between them both. I assume this might be the final lap under safety car condition. Brand currently, who was net P1. But this is where we're going to see, actually no, everyone is on, quite young tyre ages now. About two, the highest ranging laps will be Rhys Smithy with 4 laps, which isn't too much to be precise. And with only 10 laps left of the race, I don't think it won't make much of a difference. But it's going to be a bit of an advantage for the rest of the field, who have about 2 laps left. 2 laps onto their soft tyres there. You see now we're still under safety car conditions. I assume it will come in this lap. It's currently 10:17 British summer time, so I'm assuming we might be finishing closer to 10:30, which is actually one of the earliest starts, ends to this race I think we've ever had. The latest I think was probably 11:15. There was a bit of technical issues, and then we had a lot of safety cars during that race. So it's been quite clean here. Race control saying safety car is in this lap, so I was correct. We will have 9 laps of racing left. The sprint race till the end. Reece Smithy being able to go from any time from now. He has to try catch the rest of the field off guard to try create a bit of a gap for himself. DRS will not be enabled on the first lap of this race after we complete the first lap, so going on to the 42nd lap, DRS will be re-enabled, and that's where we will see most of the position scandals starting to happen. Reece Smithy not going just yet, trying to catch Brand off as much time as he possibly can. He hasn't gone just yet. He's going very close to the line here. It does seem that Brand does go as Brand and Rouge does go now, as we do see there's a bit of a gap created between them both. It's Rouge being able to have about a 2.5 second, or 2.5 second, a 2.5 tenth gap going into the first corner. It isn't going to be enough just yet for Brand to be able to re-overtake. Going further down, we do see there is no position scandals just yet. There is going to be going into sector 1 though. A bit of a scandal that did happen. It's going to be a side-by-side to Jackie Barnett taking P11 from Liam MCL 16 there. He is all over the back of him. That Leah just trying to get past him at any point possible. Going into the final few corners of sector 1. Now he will have the slipstream, but no DRS just yet. At the moment, that Brand is unlikely to win this race. Provisionally, he will. Well, he's got a bit of a chance of winning the race, but at the moment, in terms of he's been able to get by without DRS there, he's all over the back of him there. Reece Smithy going into the final few corners of the lap, as he's now going to go side by side going into the final corner. But we do see the sharp angled corner of turn 12. It's going to cause Brand to already will just regain the position of P1. It's going to be a side by side once again. No DRS being used here, as it's just pure down to side drafting here, as we do see now Reece Smithy being able to have the inside line going into turn 1. Brand having that 3-second time penalty is going to take his likelihood of winning this race away. But we do see there's going to be side by side once again between them both, as we could see an actual 3 wide here going into this corner, but we don't see it happening. But we do see it in terms of purple lap time here. We do see a 129.8 by Brand, who's currently on board. Well, we're currently on board with in P2, trying to fight for pole position here. But then Reece Smithy, who has the lead at the moment with a 130.2, so there's quite a major time difference of about 4 tenths there in terms of best lap between them both. But we do see Josh Rhodes behind him as well with 129.9, so it's quite close with terms of timing there. Only 2 drivers to be in the 29th in terms of best lap time so far. A bit of a mistake there from Brand, causing a bit of a gap creating between P1 and P2. Rouge versus Brand, as we can now actually see it's about a 3/10 gap, but with the DRS to be enabled, this lap will just show us this is where we do see the gaps are crucial to be created now compared to later, as the DRS will just absolutely erase all of that hard work. As we do see now Brand lunging for the inside line going into the final corner, as he's able to do that, but the DRS might actually cause a bit of an issue here for Brand, as he has to try and create a 3-second gap before the end of the race. As we do see now DRS is enabled, this is where we're going to see a lot of overtaking opportunities from the driver. There's going to be a side-by-side now. Once again, it's a bit of a juke move there from Reece Smithy. Not going to work though for him just yet, as he stays behind Brand going into the final few corners there. And then going on to the next lap, we do see him also doing another juke move going into turn 1, and it still doesn't work just yet. Brand having to try create a gap here as quickly as he can. It needs to be at least 3 seconds in the next 7 laps. Can he do? I'm not too sure just yet. At the moment, he is provisional pole sitter, but we do see going into the final few corners of sector 1 here, we do see now Cryplex going for the inside line, as he gets a bit of an oversteer moment there, which is going to cause Kevin to have the momentum on him. going into the final few corners of Sector 2. But he's not going to be close enough just yet. But with the DRS, he will get in a minute. He will be able to actually gain quite a bit of time. But we do also see then Cryplex getting the DRS as well, which is going to put a lesson of advantage there on Kevin. You see Brandon with the DRS is able to re-overtake, but we do see now Rouge getting the DRS going on to the start finish straight. It's going to cause him to go side by side into turn 1, which is going to cause him to get it done. And it does seem Josh Rose trying to make the move there on him as well. This is great for Rouge Smithy to try and break the DRS between the both. And it does seem now Josh Rose is able to get past Brand, but Brand is going to try and retaliate as hard as he can to try get P2 back, and this is going to be him. He could lose so many positions here. He could lose probably up to P5, P6 because of that 3-second penalty he has from track limits there. Do you see? I think that was Specky Cabbage or Cryplex going a bit wide into turn 4. Does seem the only sort of risk of a battle here for Rouge Smithy would be Josh Rose. It does seem that Brand has made the advantage of being able to break the DRS boundary between him and Brand, but it's actually been broken again, and now Brand's been able to, as we do see, well, Brand's been able to get back in within DRS range, and it's now starting to break away that gap, as we do now see Rouge Smithy's trying to do that same thing, but with the DRS we do see now Josh Rose has. We do see Rouge Smithy trying to defend the inside line. It's not going to work there, as we do see now Josh Rose going up into the leads provisionally, as we do see Rouge Smithy will have that DRS, as we do see it has been activated now, as it's going to go side by side once again. There's going to be a side draft in between the both, but he's not able to catch up just yet, as we do see this is where every one of the drivers is going to be using so much of their ERS to try and catch up with one another. And especially with that ERS, it's going to cause them to lose even more time if they don't use it. And we do see Josh Rose going for a lunge into turn 2 down. That's going to cause a bit of a wheel bang in between them both. And that's going to cause Josh Rose to go back up into the lead. But we will see, once again, Rouge Smithy getting that DRS going into the final few corners of sector 3. And about turn 8 to turn 12. Five laps left to go. Oh, a bit of a wall bang there from Rouge Smithy. Is he going to have any side pod damage? In terms of wing, he doesn't seem to have damaged any of it. In terms of side pod, though, I can't tell you. But we do see now this is going to be good for Rouge Smithy, as we do see now Brandt and Nick F1 are going to be battling for position, but we don't even have to see Nick F1 to go up. Well, he doesn't really have to fight for position here in terms to get it, but we do see now Rouge Smithy's going to go for the outside line going into the final corner, but he is not going to be able to achieve it because Josh Rose defends it with the inside line. But now we see Rouge Smithy's been able to, well, just defend too much, and that's going to cause him now to do the strategic move of boxing what seems to be Brand in for position, and that causes Rouge Smithy to go into P1, and Brand's not being able to move because he's boxed in with Josh Rose there and has to obviously coast, which loses his momentum. And now we do see Josh Rose losing 2 positions there in the span of 1 straight. And now Rouge Smithy just trying to have to gain as much time as he can. But at the moment, Rouge Smithy's in this momentum, well, in this mindset that he doesn't actually need to pull away as much as he thinks he has, because we do see Brand having that 3-second penalty can be, well, a night and day difference, as I said earlier. Especially how close it actually is going into the final thing. There's a sector 1, sector 2 yellow flag there, as it does seem to not be a safety car just yet. No car has slowed down, as we aren't going to be taking this under safety car conditions just yet, as it does seem Rouge Smithy getting very, very close to the walls there. But we go on board now with Bram just a few tenths down the road, getting quite a bit of time under DRS, as you can see he can gain about 2 tenths there within the safety car. sector 3 caution could change everything if it is going to be a safety car, but we do see there's a bit of a juke there from Brand, but it's not going to work just yet. Bruce Smith, he doesn't have to let him by, but he can if he wants to, but he can't risk creating a 3-second gap between them both. You see now the DRS is going to be enabled, and we do see Brand being able to fly past on the outside line, as we do see a tiny bit of a squeezing between them both to try and just put Brand off a tiny bit. We do see Brand regain to lead there, going on to the final few laps of this race. It's a bit of an oversteer moment there. Bruce Smithy going into the final few corners of the first segment of sector 1. You see now Gandis is going to regain the position there on Cryoplex. It doesn't seem Gandis is going to be able to win this race at the moment. 2.5 laps left to go. Bruce Smithy now having the DRS once again, going on to the final straight of lap 47, but he doesn't take it. He's going to play the strategic once again and take the DRS on another occasion. Is he going to just tuck himself behind Brand now until the final offering? Is he going to do that? It doesn't seem he is. He's going to try and take the position once again back, as he does go up into P1 with Brand, but we do see now Josh Rose trying to battle with them both as well, which isn't going to work just yet. So we do see Nick F1 also trying to get involved with this as well. I didn't realize how many people were actually involved with this. So you could just see that one little battle that was happening between Bruce Smithy and Brand just caused the 5 cars to catch up with them. That just shows you how close they actually are within each other. Don Fotherington getting a 3-second time penalty for track warnings as well. That's the corner a tiny bit there. Specky Cabbage needs to be careful of track limits as well. So in fact, that little mistake just lets Candice pass with the DRS as well. Probably a lot sooner than he expected him to, as we go on to the penultimate lap of the race now. Bruce Smithy, P1, Brand, P2, Josh Rose, P3. But with the DRS, it could all change very quickly. So we do see now Brand going for the outside line, going into turn 1. Doesn't take it just yet. He resists. As we do see Rouge just maintains P1 for now. I think that might be more of a strategic call, because he doesn't want to lose the other positions behind him. But at the moment, as it stands, in terms of how many positions Brand will lose because of that 3-second time penalty, he could lose up to P5 at the moment in terms of positions. Could be a bit less though. He might just be tucking himself into P4, but it's going to be demoralizing from him, from going from the podium step all the way down to P4, and as he starts gaining this time back onto the final lap, as we do see now the DRS will be enabled for the penultimate time of this race. Do you see now it's not going to be close enough just yet. He has got to have the DRS again, going on to the final straight of lap 49, as he will glue himself to the inside line there, reach Smithy, but it's not going to work. Brand taking the lead once again. But is it going to work for him yet? He has to try gain 3 seconds on the pack behind him in just 12 corners, as we now see once again a repeat of history, as we do see now Reece Smithy taking the DRS and taking the position back from him, and so it was a tiny bit of a juke move once again from Brand being obsessed with those juke moves to try put the other drivers off, but it didn't seem to work that time. So you now see once again another juke move there. Final few corners now. Reece Smithy still has the lead, but we do have to realize that this could change very quickly, even though we have one lap left because of that DRS. We could actually see P2 and 3 get past him with those 3 DRS sections that we have left going into one now. So we do see now Brandt going back on with Reece Smithy, but he is not going to be able to get past just yet as he just plays it sensibly. He wants to try finish this race. But we do now see Reece Smithy is going to lose that position once again to Brandt for the lead of this race. But we do see Reece Smithy will have the DRS for one final time, or will he have enough? As we do see with that 3-second penalty, it won't actually matter, as we do see he's actually gained quite a bit of time here. But we will see now Reece Smithy coming in to win the race here, as Reece Smithy taking P1, and then followed by Josh Rose in P2 in the Red Bull, followed by Gandis at P3 in the Mercedes, Nick F1 in the Williams, Kryplex in the Alpine for P5, Brands in the Haas for P6, Specky Cabbage in P7, Finn in P8, Don Farthington P9 in the Red Bull. Rounding up the top 10, then Jackie Cabana taking P10, FRL Swinney taking P11, as we do see Kevin retiring on the final lap of the race there. Mean Man Moody taking P12 in the Alfa Romeo, and then the final two drivers Leah MCL 16 in the Haas, making their debut race here in the FRL 100% series, taking P14 out of 20. That's actually going to be P13 there for them, and then followed them by Mafandro, who's had a very unfortunate race there for them in the Aston Martin. And that's going to be the remaining part of the grid here for us tonight. But in terms of what we've seen here today, it has been a brilliant race. We haven't had too many safety cars. I believe we had about 2 or 3. Brand taking driver of the day. You can't see this, but I still have the game on. But in terms of racing, it has been probably one of the best races in the FRL 100% calendar we've seen yet. It has been so action-packed, even though we haven't had that many safety cars, as I mentioned earlier. But going on to the calendar, as I mentioned earlier as well, only 4 rounds left of this season. We have Silverstone, Hungaroring, and then Red Bull Ring, and then Barcelona to round out the season. So not too many races left. I'm not sure who. We've had quite a mixed season so far in terms of, well, what's happened. There's been a lot of stuff behind the scenes that's caused, well, catastrophe for some teams as well, and that's why I'm so glad this reserve entry list is a thing. But I have been Aces, also known as Alex, your commentator for tonight for the FRL 100% season. You could join me next if you wanted to. I'll be commentating and broadcasting on Thursday for the Pro-Am series, for the GT3 on ACC for FRL on Thursday at Barcelona. If not, I'll be back on the FRL 100% channel for Silverstone for round 9 at, well, I believe it's going to be on the 20th of April. But for now, I'll say goodbye. I'll see you whenever. Bye.